solving natural logarithmic equations. Everything we're going to do today is what we did yesterday. I'm not going to tell you anything you do not already know. Having said that, I don't want to do too much talking today because you know everything. The only thing new is that yesterday we dealt with logarithmic equations. Today, these are natural logarithmic equations. The only difference. And how do we know it's natural? We see ln. So the first thing you need to do whenever you see ln, what does ln represent? Log base e. So we'll just change ln to log base e. So this ln gets changed into log base e. First thing, log base e of 4x minus 1 equals 36. Now that we have now that we have our log isolated, we're going to change it to exponential form. What is the exponential form going to be? Angelina? E to the 36. Excellent. E to the 36 equals 4x minus 1. This is no longer a logarithmic equation. There is no word log. It's not a logarithmic equation anymore. It's exponential form. The only thing I'm going to have you do differently, instead of simplifying each step, instead of simplifying, we're going to simplify at the end, because with E, the numbers can get a little crazy. So we'll simplify at the end. So in order to isolate x, we'll add 1 to both sides, because again, we want to solve for x. We're not solving for e. We know what e is. E is constant. It's not a variable. It's a constant. The only variable is x. We're going to solve for x. Add 1 to both sides. E to the 36th power plus 1 equals 4x. To isolate x, divide both sides by 4. So now that we have x isolated, we take this here, e to the 30x plus 1 over 4, put this in the calculator just like this, and that's going to be our answer. We simplify at the end.
4.31 times 10 to the 15th.
Yeah?
I got one
All right. Maria's the answer and Yaje's answer is the correct one, but let's take a look. So look, in your calculator, if you did not get that, it's probably because you're using the division button instead of the fraction. And your calculator is going to do PEMDAS and something is just a different order. So in your calculator, hit alpha y equals, use the fraction. Use the fraction to get the answer right all the time. Alpha y equals. Make sure you're using the fraction to divide. In the numerator, e to the 36th power, so second divide, gives us e raised to the 36th power. E raised to the 36th power plus 1. All over 4. Is 1.077807 e to the 15th. Whenever you see e to the 15th on your calculator, that's just scientific notation. That just means times 10 to the 15th power. So the answer is 1.078 times 10 to the 15th power. Please copy this example down. I'm not going to say a single word for this question. This class is going to solve this question. I'm just going to write, and I'm not going to hear from the same person more than once. So whenever the first person wants to begin, Feel free to start. Or we'll just sit here and look at each other all day. Angelina. Log base E. All right, great place to start. We'll take this ln, change that to log base E. 4r squared equals 3. Thank you, Angelina, for taking the initiative. Haley. Nice. E to the third. Beautiful. E raised to the third equals 4r squared. Haley P is on the scene. Spencer. Divide by 4. Y'all are rocking and rolling. All right. So now we have r squared equals e raised to the third power over 4. Antonino.
When you divide by 4, you get 5.021, and then you take the square root.
That's correct. Let's just not divide by 4. Let's just do the square root first. But you're correct. You're correct. Let's just simplify at the end. So what are you saying? Take the square root of both sides. Exactly. So you'll take the square root there, and we'll take the square root there. Plus or minus, exactly. So now r is isolated. And we have plus or minus radical e to the third over 4. Once r is isolated, throw this into your calculator. So let's throw this in our calculator and see what we get. And if you want, let's walk it through it together. So we'll do radical. So that's second x squared. We do the radical first, then alpha y equals. Put that fraction underneath the radical. Alpha y equals. So now you have radical with the fraction. Then in our numerator, we'll put e to the third. Second, e raised to the third. Hold on. All right, what's the answer? What's the answer? My calculator's let me write on it. What did you get? Ian? 2.2408, or rounded to near 0.1 plus or minus is the answer. Is that what everyone got?
Yeah.
All right, I just had some difficulty typing it on the smart board. It just kept on writing.
So can we keep it 2.2408?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Any questions on this one here? All right, last one, and then we're done. All right, again, nothing new. There's nothing I could tell you that you don't already know, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut again and see if we could solve this one. This is different now. The first two were logarithmic equations. The word log was there from the beginning. This is not a logarithmic equation. This is an exponential equation. So we're going to use a log to solve the exponential equation. Ian? Of course we can, and that's what we must do. So we'll subtract 5 from both sides. E raised to the 3x equals 1. Juliet?
So would it be log base e 1 equals 3x?
You can do that, yeah. You can do that. That's another way. So we'll do that on the other side. That's technically another way to solve it. So we'll do that way in a second. All right, so this is a different way. I'm just going to write it down. I want to finish the other way first, and then we'll do it that way so that you both can, so that you can see that both ways will get you the right answer. So we could do log base e of 1 equals 3x. This is an alternate way. We'll come back to that in a second. I'm glad that you brought that up, Juliet. What's the other way? Does anyone remember the other way? Angelina. We did the other way yesterday. Haley.
Wait, I'm not sure. Would you bring down 3x?
Yes, bring this 3x down. Remember, bring the exponent down. Go ahead, Valentina. 3x log e equals log 1. Juliet, I'm happy you brought this way up too. So I want you to see both of them. I want you to see both of them and see how we get the same answer. Yes, Kelvin, exactly. So we'll come back to this in a second. Just follow this one here. Make sure your notes are continuing from this line here. All right. Kelvin, you said divide both sides by log e, which is correct. And like I showed you earlier, you could divide by 3 log e right now if you want to. Is that fine if you just do divide by 3 log e, or should we do log e and then divide by 3 afterwards? All right. So we'll divide by log e first. So now we have 3x. What is log 1 divided by log e? 0. 3x equals 0. Divide both sides by 3. And x equals 0. Which is our answer. X equals 0. But now let's do it the other way. Any questions about this way right here? All right. So let's do it this way. So Juliet, I'm glad you brought that up. So now we have log base e of 1. Log base e is the same as what? Ln. So instead of writing log base e of 1, we could just write ln 1. What is ln 1? Put that in your calculator. 0. Ln 1 is 0. 0 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. And we get the same answer. So both ways will work. Both ways will work. You have options. Whichever one you feel most comfortable with, do it that way. Thank you, Juliet. Angelina.